We're going to be moving into our next session, which is a panel discussion on the topic Success Stories of Business Transformation with GenAI. We have a panel of industry stalwarts with us this morning. I'd like to introduce them to you, and as they come forward, I'd like to request you to please give them a big round of applause. Our speakers this morning for this panel discussion on the topic Success Stories of Business Transformation with GenAI, starting with Nikita Goyal, Senior Software Developer, Uber. Joining her on the panel is Sri Lakshmi Gari Kipati, Head of Engineering Consumer Relationships and Mass Affluent, Lloyd's Technology Center, India. Joining them also is Nandini Muralidharan, Principal Product Manager, Microsoft. I'd like to also welcome onto the panel Kyle Viri Karthikeyan, Senior Product Manager, PayPal. And moderating this session is Sukanya Roy, Senior Advisor, Zenovo. Sukanya comes with 22 plus years of experience in driving growth and transformation for enterprises across the world and from various industries. In her past roles in NASSCOM, Sukanya has been closely working with the industry and government to build a strong and vibrant ecosystem for GCCs and BPM enterprises in India. Request you all to please give them a huge round of applause once again. And with that, Sukanya, it's over to you.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate all of you being here, and I hope this conversation is interesting. We can add some value and to your thoughts, and please feel free to let us know your thoughts around as we go forward. We have a wonderful panel today, and the conversation is around AI and GenAI, and I think this technology has taken over our lives in many ways. So I'd love to start with talking to all of you about tell us one interesting aspect of your life which has changed either professionally or personally with the use of AI, something that you now do with AI which you didn't, and how has that changed? So we'll start with you, Kyle.
Hello, everyone. So I have a very interesting use case, especially to a room of all women, right? So when OpenAI democratized this GenAI with ChatGPT, I was not on professionally. I was on maternity break, right? But I heard about this new tool, which is magical. Everyone was talking about it. The first use case I tried using ChatGPT was how to fix my 3-month-old child's sleep. Right? And I started using it as a sleep tracker and a sleep trainer, sleep coach, whatever we want to call it. And it worked well. I started sharing, the use case with a mom's group. You won't believe, it became so, I should call it viral, that we did a webinar on how to use ChatGPT for sleep coaching. It went to that level of how much ChatGPT had affected, or GenAI had affected our personal lives. So another example in my personal life, when I saw this change happening, where GenAI tools are becoming our reflection partners, thought partners, that's when I was writing this book. I carried a copy also. So I was writing this book, and this is for women mentoring in their careers. So this is supposed to be a pocket mentor for women. And it's a workbook also. So I decided, let us give GenAI prompts also in the book so that it becomes phygital, right? People can use the prompts to reflect, come back to the workbook, and take away mentorship for them. So these are two major shifts that has happened in my personal life when we look at GenAI.
Interesting, Kyle. I think you should now start working on better sleep for adults and professional. And I think that's going to, especially women who are probably thinking about 20,000 things when they're going to bed. And it'll be interesting if you have a set of prompts that you can come up with. We'll go with you, Nandini. Any thoughts?
Yes. So my work is I'm a product manager. So I
hold the mic a little closer.
Able to hear now?
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. So I think for me, as a product manager, at least in the last 12 years, last 2 years has been like a transformational shift. And why I'm saying it as an inflection point is things have rapidly changed. Research, I used to do market research or even building prototypes. All of that has become so quick with AI, both at the scale of instant, it's giving me instant replies and making it actionable, both. So the insights being instant and actionable is extremely valuable, right? Because things are changing so fast. If I take, say, 3 weeks for a research and come out, it's of no value because conversation has moved from A to B. But today you are in the game because it is instantaneous. And it is extremely pointed to what you would want as a need. So it's just collapsing my time to value really, really fast. So that has been my biggest learning as a PM. The second path it does really well is, earlier there used to be a lot of this fear of missing out, right? One meeting is happening at night, 12 o'clock. Should I be awake and looking at it? But now notes are there. So I'm very happy about fear of missing out, saying, okay, I don't need to burn my sleep. The notes will be there. It will tell me to not be afraid of losing a conversation, but still catching the nuances of it. Because morning I can just come and go ahead and type out whatever I need to be. And I have the inbuilt Copilot agents, which can just create an ADO task or a Jira task on it, which tells me that I don't slip out from the gaps. So it just helps me in that sense a lot to be fast, but at the same time, make sure that nothing falls down from the cracks. At the personal level, I think it's just a joy for me to see how my parents and in-laws and all use AI. Bangalore, rental agreements every 11 months you need to do, right? My father-in-law
Now
just
there are
uses
new rules, by the way.
Perplexity. He says, Perplexity and ChatGPT, I will use it. He creates a good draft, picks the nit, finishes it. So empowering for a person who is like 65 plus 70 to do it on their own with zero dependency on so-called people who know maybe better to write. So that I think is just a joy to see how all they use, and they just have something like check on WhatsApp what the news is, and then they verify it on a chat saying that is this correct or not correct. So it's beautiful. Thank you.
That's a lovely example. Nikita?
Yeah, hi everyone. So for me, the biggest change that AI has brought in is how I work every day as a software engineer. So earlier my workflow was very old school, like write a code, send it for review, wait for the review comments,
Bring the
and
mic.
then fix it and then repeat. So it was mostly like doing laundry. One cycle ends, another begins. But now with the tools like Cursor, it feels as if I hired ultra fast, never tired, and overconfident peer programmer. And I am just like typing, and it's middle of that, this thing is like, hey, here is the better version of the code, or here are the test cases you want me to write. So this experience is amazing. And within Uber, we have an internal we have built a GenAI bot reviewer. So whenever somebody send a request for code review, that reviewer scans each and every line automatically. It catches bugs, security gaps, and coding convention violation. Things like that could turn into 2M on-call surprises. So that thing is getting day by day, and like it still surprises me. So beyond coding, I use ChatGPT as my 24/7 brainstormer partner. I just go with my messy notes, my wakes ideas, approaches, and I am just like, hey, I want to solve this problem, and I think this is the approach I should go for. ChatGPT is like, no, there are two other approaches with pros and cons. So that interaction and that experience that it never runs out of ideas is like amazing for me. And so AI hasn't been abstract. It has reduced the cognitive load for me, and now I don't focus on repetitive tasks. I mostly working on coming up with creating creative and strategic part of the engineering. So my developer life was shifted drastically from like let me grind through the fixed list of tasks to let me now think more, design, build, and let this AI sidekick handle heavy lifting. So this shift has been huge, but all addictive. Thank you.
I love the way you called AI your sidekick. it's your circuit to Sri Lakshmi. Some thoughts from you.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. And I think the lovely ladies have kind of summed up a lot of the use cases for us. What else do I do and how has it changed my life other than what the lovely ladies have already said? Probably as a leader, I use this tool on a day-to-day basis. Like they've said, meetings, your to-dos and your tasks and all of that. Summarizing, sometimes you get this lengthy emails which have like 15 tags right below. So those kind of things are but obvious. But apart from that, I think one thing that I really use it for is my team management, on sitting on top of my Jira boards to understand before I'm entering a meeting. It helps me summarize what I need to focus on, my problem areas, my kind of questions. that beautifully summarizes. That's one huge help I have. Confluence pages, we all love Confluence pages, don't we? And everyone creates one. And a lot of times they kind of die halfway. We all know the life of Confluence page as well. That's another space. We haven't built it yet, but that's something that we're working on to keep relevant data alive. And how do we do that? We're trying to work on it. And that's something that we use it on a day-to-day basis.
Lovely to know, that it has impacted all our lives in different ways. Me personally, I took to focusing on my health a couple of years back and said that no, I need to fix all the things that I have worked so hard in going wrong. And ChatGPT was a great help in trying to help me understand the patterns within myself that I would like to change, right? And what is it that, seemingly healthy lifestyle, but then there are still so many gaps. And it's been a wonderful journey to see how that has been supported by AI. We'll we'll come to the main topic of discussion today, which is successful use cases, and we'll focus a little bit to understand where are you seeing successes within your organizations or in the industry outside. We'd love to take examples of different industry and see how AI has, where we are seeing good impact with AI, right? I'm sure AI is being used across, but where are we seeing some solid impact, right? Nandini, we'll start with you here.
Thanks, Sukanya. Very, very relevant topic, because a lot of times it comes in as, is AI a bubble? Are people making valuable inputs, or is just enabler of sorts, but not able to make production bets? So I think 2 years back when we started, we struggled a lot with it, right? New model comes in and then people are experimenting, but we are still not betting enough to make it production ready. And that's when I've just worked with customers about for the last 2 years. Multiple examples where solid production level use cases have come in. I'll give you a few examples. I work in the model customization space, which typically would mean that when the prompt engineering fails, so suppose you get an accuracy of 0 to 80% with just regular prompts and RAG, and then you stop, but you can't take a production bet, right? Because you want it to be a 95% or a 97%. So, and that's when model customization or fine tuning or distillation kind of use cases come. So I'll give you some examples of where it involved prompt, RAG, and then some fine-tuning use cases to make 100% production bet, so that you can just switch your model from, or switch your production use case from technique A to AI-driven innovation technique B. One of them is a legal use case. So there's this company who wants to draft clauses and then map around which clause is applicable for a particular use case which has come in. So a court contracted case comes in. How will I draft clauses better? That can be one. Or the second example was just to be able to summarize the RFPs so that, say, a tax engine company would be able to see all the reviews and then go ahead and publicize it, saying that this classification of code or this FIRAC clause is what this particular document is in. So it requires some advanced reasoning skills. It's just not just legitimate searching of tasks, right? It requires reasoning, processing, understanding of the context. And folks have been able to do that with in the legal case. In healthcare, beautiful examples of patient-physician conversation. It's just oral conversation. But what we have been trying to do is, okay, can I capture that conversation, which is text-to-speech, which has been around for the last 8-9 years. But being able to classify ICD-10 codes based on that conversation, which means my billing is right, which can also mean that I fill up the EMR. So our patients and doctors can just have conversations. The physician does not need to do the rudimentary job of filling the context, but is able to focus on what is most important, taking care of lives. And all of this, and the use cases around it, saying from the simple contract summarization to a knowledge context summarization to advanced reasoning, all of that is enlightening up. And I'm very happy. A lot of them are in production use cases and have good life studies, case studies where customers are enabling it. Thanks.
Lovely, very interesting thoughts. Nikita, you want to go next?
Yeah, so for me, like, if we look around, like, it's hard to find industry that has not been touched by AI. So what I think is like the real traction is happening in a places where there is a lot of manual interpretation and repetitive decisions, I feel. So one example, as Nandini mentioned, doctor, right? So recently during my health checkup, doctors spend a lot of time in taking notes and scrolling through the records, right? So I was like, hey, AI should do it. And it's already happening. It can take clinical notes, it can summarizes your historical records, and it can, so that the doctor can spend quality time, then like paperwork. So another space I see which is fast moving is customer support. So AI agent can like understand the customer, their context, and take decisions and run workflow end to end, like flight cancellations, accounts settings changes, and so on. But from developer side, I have a similar use case to share. Like in Uber, we use Slack for internal communication along with other means. So we have a lot of teams, and they have a support channel. So we have built internal chatbot using RAG and along with LLM models, and that chat we call it Genie, and it is very powerful because it knows all the historical context, documents, tickets, incidents, everything that Genie already knows. So when you go to like some team and ask for support, so Genie is the first responder, and based on my recent interactions, like I was unblocked without a need to reach the actual human on call. So that was a change we are seeing. So as a developer, I think the industries with the more friction and repetition are the ones transforming fastest.
Absolutely, very interesting. Sri Lakshmi.
For us, by the way, I come from Lloyd's, and those of you who know Lloyd's as a bank, this carries about 350 plus, close to running to 400 years of history, right? So what we are working on, or what we try to protect, is not just the customer, it is also the balance sheets. And we're talking about people's lives here in millions. So the AI is not a trending technology for a bank like ours, right? Keeping our customers safe, our balances sheets that we go to the market with secure, that is like one of the key things. So other than the many, I'll talk about the IT side of it. As a technologist, how do we use it? But if I wear the hat of a customer, if I have to think about how are we helping the customer, and our tagline is helping Britain prosper. So what are we trying to do is in also commercial credit lines, where we use a lot of the data that we get today to make faster, quicker decisions, and obviously less risk prone. So those are some of the major things that we work on the AI models. This helps not only the balance sheet from going to the market, our market share perspective, but also making more accurate decisions, right? That makes a huge difference, reducing the defaulter list and such. What goes behind it is a lot of effort and work in terms of keeping the data accuracy right, not letting the model slide or hallucinate. There is a lot of work that goes behind the scenes to make sure we don't allow the models to go rogue, if I can call that, right? That is like some of the key priorities. Honestly, it's easy to put models out there, but the difficult part is to keep it relevant. So we have something called human in the loop constantly to make sure where are the exact points that we need to insert the human in this. So, but apart from that, we'll talk a little bit more probably during the course. As a technologist, where do we use it from a development standpoint? But some of the major wins have been this. And also not to mention, when we are giving credit loans, we also, when we are doing a commercial credit loan, we also look into the organization's efficacies. We also look into their carbon footprint. How are they ethically sourcing their raw material? So all of this AI, I mean, on a normal day, which would have taken a 3 month to complete a loan, today we come back with insights in less than a day or a few weeks at the most, right? Individuals, it's much faster, but at an organization, commercial level, we are already seeing and reaping a lot of benefits.
Lovely. I think we had some very interesting use cases. Kyle, you're from fintech. Tell us about maybe fintech or any other industry.
Definitely. So I think Sri Lakshmi touched upon the banking side of it, and I come from the other side of payments and fintech, where again, very sensitive data, and we'll have to be really careful with what we are dealing with, right? But very interesting use cases, including agentic commerce, right? So that has come in picture, where our main stakeholders are merchants and the users. For merchants, what is very important? Traditionally, if you look at a FMCG space, the shelf space is very important, right? But for an online merchant, what is important? Discoverability is very important, right? How do customers discover them? So a very simple a receipt that we give after payment, can that change into a micro storefront using AI, customized micro storefront for the user, as well as the merchant enhances their discoverability, right? So in a receipt, there is a small space dedicated where AI, tracks the user's history and sees whether they can show recommendations that are customized for them, which makes discoverability easier for the merchants as well as a very pleasant experience for the users. So in fintech, many things that were impossible are becoming possible, right? So it's just not, traditionally we have been using predictive AI a lot in fraud detection, for example. From prediction, generation came in, and now it is kind of end-to-end action. That is what agentic is taking us to.
Lovely. And you spoke about the shelf space, right? I mean, today there are people sitting here in India and doing the shelf space planning for stores in US and UK using computer vision analytics and tech, uh, uh, picture to text transformation. It's amazing because we necessarily don't understand the demography of the area, the cultural context, none of it, but we can actually predict what is going to sell, which product can be next to which product, and what is the season, and based on that, what is going to sell today with AI. Another very interesting use case that I came across is a big FMCG company which has crores and crores of suppliers from across the world. And when COVID hit and there were war-struck areas within the world, they could actually use analytics to do an entire risk planning for their entire supply chain. Find alternate sources depending on how situations escalate in different parts of the kind of world, and then what would be the cost impact and what would be those models and pricing changes that they may have to anticipate in the next 6 to 8 months depending on how situations evolve across the world. I mean, fantastic situation for an enterprise that large to be able to know that my cost points will shift from X percentage to X percentage depending on how situations escalate. They probably have 5,000 scenarios planned already. I mean, I was so impressed to see that use case and how things got done. And like we say, we spoke about healthcare, banking, fintech, e-commerce, and bunch of them. I think AI is really like electricity. It's going to like redefine the way we function. Of course, the bigger question is going to be how we apply it and not the technology itself. And that will bring me to the next question, saying that we know fundamentally this is going to be the way to go, but for enterprises to really make sense of this technology, I'm sure there are readiness gaps. Right now, are we ready from a technology, infrastructure, data, environment? Bunch of things to look into. Where do you see gaps? Sri Lakshmi, will start with you. Where do you see gaps? And what should an enterprise do, or what should we as a society do for readiness?
That's a great question. I don't know if it is gaps per se, but as an organization, when we are trying to look at AI at a very large scale, there are multiple angles that we look into, right? First and foremost, end of the day, AI, like she rightly said, is only a technology. Yes, there is a lot of scare in the market in terms of will that reduce the jobs? How much will it automate? Does it mean a job risk? First and foremost, I would like to really address that, right? I don't know, for those of you probably are very young here in the room here, but there were days when the computer was made and we thought, you know what, computer is going to take away jobs and there won't be any job left. But guess what? Today we are all sitting here in the room doing this. I think AI is...
We've added 7.5 million jobs in India.
Exactly, right? I feel AI could be one of them. but what you do is going to change, right? From that standpoint, that is definitely going to change. It's not going to take away, but what you do is going to be significantly more meaningful and more impactful. So how do you make that happen from the question standpoint, from a gaps? I would see that as a skill. That is one thing we today are definitely missing as an industry, right? When I say skill, I don't mean somebody comes walking through the door with just one certificate that they have done a course in something. But end of the day, for us, it's just not the course, it's just a tool. So what really matters is your competency in that space, in that domain, and that is going to be irreplaceable, right? I feel that is a combination of your competency in the core domain skill. What do I mean, right? Can I like replace a chartered accountant with the AI tool? I don't think so. We are not ready for it, and not immediately for sure. And that's where the human in the loop comes into the picture, right? But apart from that, so the point is, I feel that scare is in a right place, but it needs to be channeled in the right direction. That's number one. Number two, as an organization, we need to start thinking about the OPEX and CAPEX costs for this, and it's going to tremendously increase, right? It's everything sounds fun and cool when you're doing it into the cloud, but the cost of storage, the cost of all of the AI tools is going to only keep increasing. I think that is something that we will have to continue to worry about. Last but not least, the carbon footprint. So as an organization, we try to be extremely careful about the carbon footprint we are leaving behind, because every algorithm, every time you search, probably 4 trees are like dying somewhere that you're not aware of. So we put our heavy computation engines only in what we call as a very high risk, where it is like, for example, a fraud risk checks that we're doing, or a dynamic risk engines that we are running. Those are the ones where we put very high cost engines, computation engines behind. But there are ones where we need to think as an organization, where do we spend more money versus less. So yeah, so I think there's a lot of learning, even for us as an organization and as a society, to be equipped for AI.
Absolutely, and I think that you bring up a really important point. Is today using ChatGPT for a lot of us has become a lifestyle, but we don't understand that every time we are putting in a query, which we could have asked a friend, Google searched, or done something else about, maybe picked up a phone and asked our mother for a recipe. We are actually impacting the environment. So I think it becomes very important for us to see how we use the technology, where we use the technology, and what is the impact, and what are the other options. And I think that is not very easy, because we are so used to just picking up our phone or laptops and doing something. But do take some conscious notice about this when you next time just open ChatGPT for something. Kyle, we'll come to you. What are your thoughts on environment readiness?
So I want to touch upon two things, right? As you both rightly pointed out, not just in the personal space, but even in the enterprise space. This is one saying I really like. I use it a lot. Don't use surgical scalpels to peel onions. If you have to use a kitchen knife, use a kitchen knife. You don't need surgical scalpels to peel onions, right? So look at a problem. If the problem can be solved through a simple logic, solve it through logic. No AI needs to be put in place. A company, an enterprise, or a small company need not become an AI first company just for the sake of coolness factor, or it's because your customers are all AI first, they are looking at you to become an AI first. So I'm a product manager. I got an inbound call, right? Someone reached out to me, they want an AI product manager for their company. I asked, okay, what is it you're expecting? I thought, okay, our customers have this problem, we have to really solve this through AI. That's what they're going to say, that's what I expected. But they told me, you know what, our customers are all AI first companies, and they are looking at hiring someone for their task who has to be AI first. So your task as a product manager coming in is to make us an AI first company, a product to be an AI first product. So AI need not come first. The problem needs to come first. And is the problem really relevant for AI to solve, or is it something solvable through logic? That's one thing. Second thing is, even if you decide AI has to solve that problem for you, do you have the necessary data? Right? When I say necessary data, it doesn't magically flow through, right? And we know in an enterprise scale, how scattered data could be. So do we have the necessary data present, available? Is it clean enough for it to be used by a model? And do we have consent to use those data in our models? So before getting on to choosing a model and all the cool things, we have to do the brunt work, which is the base, to see whether we have enough data and clean data and consent to use that data. Only then, I mean, you can synthesize data, but how much can you synthesize? That's always a question, right? So to be ethically using data at an enterprise level, AI to use at an enterprise level, I think these two are very, very important. Pick problems that are only AI can solve and have enough data to really solve it.
Great points. Nandini.
Yes, I think just what Shri spoke about rang a bell with me. So my mother was in State Bank of India for a long time. And I remember when I was a child, core banking when it came, it's exactly the same feeling, saying, Abhi, we will not pick up ledgers. We'll have to sit in front of computer. People who will be able to ace it will be the younger people in the bank, but the older people in the bank will have to struggle to just get the core banking in. People had concerns. What will happen to my money? Paise ka kya hoga? Like, will I be able to see it? They would go and update passbooks every single day just to see the money has transferred or no. Technology had the same levers, right? It had quality and reliability. If you give me that, I trust your system, whatever it is, AI or not AI. The moment we infuse AI in our products, the same fundamentals will have to go through for us. It has to be something which is high quality. It has to be something which is reliable, which I can trust every single time. I'm a builder. I build platforms. And when we build platform, I think that's the fundamental thing which I look for, saying, like you said, example of retail store, right? We had Black Friday, Cyber Monday, all night we were awake just to ensure we don't have one downtime for a store which is in US. Why is that? Because reliability is paramount. The wow or the novelty of it is not as important as the reliability of it. And that's what each of us will have to strive for in terms of gaps, Sukanya, when you asked for. It has to be reliable each time. What does reliability mean? I should be transparent on what models I put in my system. I should know what the gives and takes for each model are when I onboard it on my platform. How much of deployment safety checks or responsible AI checks are going on every model, every technique I use in my system? Do I have the enablement of filters saying, okay, I want PII to be reflected here. I don't want PII to be reflected here. I would want you to check on visual safety, like the moment you put multimodal models. And I'll tell you why this is so critical for the products we build in. A lot of times, like I think till the last 2 years, the product I define is how I would want people to use. Today it is not that. I define a product, I do not know how people will use it. Like the case which came in recently, right? The multimodal model, people are writing exams sheets exactly in your handwriting, a differential equation which went viral. It's crazy, right? Because I do not think the PM there would have thought that this is the use case in which people will use. They will think, oh yeah, it is helping digitization of records. I can do it for artifacts and history. But people are doing it for solving exams pure, which is crazy. So the kind of guardrails we have to put and the thinking which we'll have to use to not rely on AI, but to rely on NI, the natural intelligence, to just see where you need to curb it. And going very high on deployment safety, responsible AI. And I'm just not saying this as words. It will be meaningful in a product if we would want to take it as production ready. Otherwise, nobody will trust it, right? Like if you have to move a system, I will not trust it if it goes 1% wrong. Pilots are there in the airport for some reason, right? In the plane. Planes are automated for last 50 years. Did we remove the pilots? We did not. For a reason, because I don't trust. Who will I put accountable saying, in case I need a Sully kind of thing, who is there to save me? I need one superhuman there, right? And that's a pilot. So that's exactly what we will have to think for our products, which means skilling or getting the controls back, however it is. But the possibilities is endless for us to be how to meaningfully use each of them.
Yeah, I'll add just one point. It was very, thought-provoking for me, the way you shared it also, Nandini. Because we are in a room full of women, right? very important thing is how do we make sure the biases that are inherent in human beings don't get transferred to the models and don't get transferred to the use cases that you put in to use every day. I was randomly doing some check and I wanted to red team the one of the AI tools I use, and I asked, what, my husband has blood pressure. What can we do about it, right? High blood pressure. What can I do about it? Hypertension. The tool told me, you have to adjust your cooking oil and the salt in your cooking so that your husband's blood pressure is not high. I asked the tool, would you say the same thing to a man? If this was asked by a man and he said, his wife had hypertension. Then it said, yeah, I would not have said that. You caught me right. I am biased. Where do all these come from, right? It all comes from the ingrained thing that is already with us, and what goes in comes out, right? As women practitioners, I think we have to put a lot more emphasis on this bias not getting percolated into whatever we are building. So as women builders, I think we have additional responsibility to do that.
I think lovely point. So your husband's blood pressure is also your problem.
Yeah, so I will talk from engineering side. So how I see it. So I don't, the real challenge I don't see in dreaming about the future using AI. What I see is like getting AI to work, as she mentioned, reliably, safely, and scale in production. So as my fellow members mentioned multiple examples, I had like to talk about one incident happened this year in July, where a popular AI powered coding tool, even after giving clear instruction during code freeze not to touch production and ask for approval, deleted run destructive command and deleted all production data. And when it messed up, it tried to fabricate logs to clear the traces. And you can search this news, I'm not going to name, but it was a moment, entire industry collectively went, we need guardrails, lot of guardrails. So from readiness point of view, Nandini also mentioned about it. I see 3 key areas we all should be focusing on. Number one is like infra, safe infra. We need to build strict guardrails. We have to have strict development and production separation. We need a proper approval workflows, human in loop, and audit trails and rollback mechanism in place. Basically, we want enterprise version of baby proofing your entire tech stack. Second thing is data readiness. She mentioned about it, right? AI doesn't fail because of model most of the time. I think it's a data that plays a important role. So if you are giving inconsistent stale data or missing context, it's not going to work. So you have to work on clean and governed data, she also mentioned. So last thing is patience. So we all are not that. So what we have to learn that AI is not a plug and play and actually getting your cool prototype into our actually production stable solution needs lot of iteration, edge case testing, monitoring, real-time checks, security controls. So all this will take time. So we have to be little patient here.
Lovely points. I think all very important. Patience, the culture, the encouragement, the risk-taking mandates that an enterprise builds. All of this are very critical, but the data and the infra and the responsible AI part is the reliability part, all of that, I think so critical. You can't be wow once in a while. You have to be wow all the time and then go to wow. if we have to talk about it. I'm going to talk about, and anybody feel free to jump in. I'll not go in a sequence, but any business model changes that you anticipate with the use of AI? Let Nikita go.
Okay, so I had like to talk from Uber's point of view. So we have a Uber AI solutions, and Uber operates in more than 90 countries, and it has more than decades of experience running large-scale operations. So it has that expertise, all the knowledge, and now we are using that expertise into building AI. So what AI solution is doing is basically it supports company with a more fundamental work to build a high quality AI solution. Things like data labeling, very important for models, testing, localization across more than 100 markets. So we support all this in our AI solution. So recent example I'd like to call out, because in India, we are even piloting ways for drivers to earn little more money. All they have to just complete a small digital task inside the Uber app, task like data labeling. That is early, and it shows that that AI can create a new earning model also that never existed before. But and that's what, if you zoom out, right, and see where the industries are heading, right, they are monetizing their data, they are monetizing decision engine and automation. That's what where we are heading. But as an engineer, our role is to build that data pipeline, governance, and infra to make this happen.
Fantastic point. Kyle, you have something to add?
Yeah, so as a revenue model, companies have been chasing outputs so far, right? We have been looking at what is the output and what is the pay we need to pay for the certain kind of output. Now we are slowly changing, with GenAI coming into picture. It's just not the output that matters, but the overall outcome that matters. We are looking at a larger picture. We are expanding the horizons and looking at paying for the entire outcome and not per output. I think that's a huge business model change. And as I mentioned, agentic commerce. We used to say, okay, I have to make a payment. That was the business that, for example, PayPal had. Now it's just not payment, go click checkout with PayPal. It's about, whichever GenAI tool I am using, I should, tell it, book me a ticket. And it should do it reliably every time. Go search based on my priority what flights are available, what products are available, get me the recommendations, and place an order on behalf of me, right? That is the level at which we are thinking about agentic commerce. So if you ask me if I anticipate business models, most certainly business models are changing, and our customers' expectations and anticipations are changing in the same level, and so should we.
Sri Lakshmi?
So I think from a banking perspective, not only banking, I think it's going to change in every single aspect of everyone's life. But I can give you more of banking examples and how about the data, correct? Today, when you call a bank, I think gone are the days where people are going to keep asking you the same repeated questions of where you are, what you are, who you are, etc. At the point of friction is already done prior to you meeting an agent, right? They pick up the call right from, oh, last time this was issue and this is where we stand, right? These are like honestly very basic fundamental topics that we're talking about. But as a bank, for us, we look at people, building lives for people as an individual and as a community. And how does the business model change for that is, we talked a lot about bias. One model that we are currently working on, either inherently or unconsciously, a lot of us have a bias towards a certain communities. Loans, if you see, we talk about it ourselves, right? Okay, that community is not a safe community to go around 11 o'clock in the night. You wouldn't want to do that. Why does that happen? Why is one community safer than the other, right? And why do businesses flourish in one versus the other? And all of these biases come at some level also from financial institutes and how the money gets circulated within the communities. And these biases, so we work on the data, number one. We work on understanding the bias of the data that is coming through. And that's where the human comes into the picture. And then we try to get the model to unlearn. There is an agent sitting on top of this data to help it unlearn the bias that it already created, number one, and then continue to keep working on the model. So we work on models without any boundaries to see how it is behaving. First, understand that in more safer environments with the colleagues or someone we can trust, and only then we start bringing it outwards to the communities, right? So this helps to me, not just as individuals shaping our life, just getting loans and all of that, but building communities, more safer places for all of us and our future generations to live in.
Fantastic. We'll come to the last question of the discussion today, and it's about, as leaders, how are you helping your teams to create more impact or even leverage AI better? Nandini, you're holding the mic. Why don't you?
Sure. I think to your earlier question also, just wanted to, business model, it's such a tough question because things are changing so rapidly, right? Like it's not like you are tweaking business model with AI. It's like rewriting the rule book every time. So with like bullock carts to high-speed bullet trains every 6 months, if you do, I do not know how it is. It's very difficult to even process how you will go and define a business model. Business model today might be like 6 months later something else completely because of this rapid speed of change. To this question, in terms of my biggest learning, I think it's just empowering. Empowering because it's breaking barriers for me to do multiple things where I was zero initially. So I think with all these technology and tools, what it has done is it has given you a gamut to go from 0 to 50 in like 2 days. So rapidly, like I don't know how to code. Yeah, I can just employ a GitHub Copilot or a cursor and then just go from 0 to 50 very soon. I might not know how to do the most brilliant research, but I can get to a lot of things so that I can go in front of some sane people and not look like a fool because I've prepped up recently well. Similarly, in terms of designing capabilities. So I think from the barrier standpoint, that's my guidance, saying that you can't just now say, oh, I don't know anything. That's not an option because information at least is democratized. It is decently given to everyone with an internet access, which India has. You have information. What you make out of it, the wisdom with which you will use it is secondary. But I think from the learning standpoint, that has been my biggest learning, that you can go sufficiently confident in a conversation saying that I have come to 0 to 50 and I'll make most of the conversations ahead with people to make it from 50 to 100. But I'm not starting in any place at 0, and that has been like a big leveler, which is something which we should imbibe also. In any space which we do not know, even if it means, like my previous product was geothermal engineering, which I have not done, right? But if somebody is digging it and you want to go and talk to SLB guys, you need to know some parts of it. Go and read up. There is enough things which tells in a prompt saying, explain it to a person who is just a comm science engineer, who doesn't know geology. Please explain it to me in that manner so that I can understand things better. And that, I think, each of us should use anyway. It's like out of this Hanuman Chalisa, which is Bal Buddhi Vidya. Vidya is very easy now. Just use the Buddhi and wisdom to see how to use it correctly. And God give us strength to go rapidly with these changes.
Lovely. Anyone else wants to add to
Okay,
this?
so I'd like to add one thing. Two key learnings for me as an engineer is like because AI is running so fast. Every model, new week, new model, new technology every week. So we have to design a system that can work along with that speed. So if we are the system can't be rigid, like they have to be flexible enough to plug in new models, new capabilities without rebuild every few months. This is my first learning and as an engineer. Second is it's very important and critical to evaluate models. So you can't like every new model, you can't just integrate it into your system. You should know what problem you are trying to solve and whether this is making sense or not. So that is the second learning. And the way I work is to basically encourage everyone to strike the right balance. Stay inspired by how things are moving, but very disciplined about when to use what. So put right evaluations and governance and whatever you need place and build a system that can grow with this pace. So this is what I contribute.
One thing I would like to add is, like Nandini also said, now engineers can do product management work, product managers can do engineers work, right? That has enabled so much of empathy in each other, right? And to come to a middle ground and see what is possible. You don't have to put yourself into labels anymore, right? And you can just be builders getting something out into the world so well. I mean, no-code, low-code tools are doing magic. We are getting play stores already, app stores already for the apps that are built using some of the no-code, low-code tools. That's another question, whether they are production ready, enterprise grade. All that is different, but what has it enabled for us is something that is amazing, right? So as an organization, create that safety net and playground for people to play around, right? Even in our organization, we have like a horizontal built where you're free to play around with models, tools, technologies, but you won't go overboard because there are guardrails put up around that safety net. You can't go overboard on any of that. So that is something an organization can do to empower their teams and enable them.
Sri Lakshmi.
I probably will just take 30 seconds, right? But I think a lot of you here probably wouldn't even know what COBOL is and how the programming language worked in TM Vault, for example, right? What AI has done today is end of the day is able to go decode what is COBOL written in TM Vault, which is your core banking product, and be able to bring it. So the question is, you as young developers, where should you focus and what should you do? And as a leader, this is what I tell. End of the day, common sense presides, right? It is AI is just a tool. End of the day, you don't have competency in your own domain. That's not going to take you too far, right? There's only so much a tool can do. So my bottom line advice to all of the young developers is it's not like simply jumping onto the AI bandwagon, but instead try to develop your core competency in whichever industry you are. And yeah, application of that would be probably my 2 cents for all of you. And wishing you all the luck.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this lovely conversation. We are out of time, but maybe if there is one question. Or we'll take it off stage because we're really running out of time. Thank you so much. There is one question there. So the question, if I may repeat, if I'm getting it right, is how do you take a call on building LLMs versus using something that's available in the market as a product manager special? Yeah.
The build versus buy decision. Yeah. The build versus buy decision was extremely easy in the ML world, right? Like when there was GenAI was not there. The cost of creating a model was cheaper. Now it's not the case. Creating a new LLM from scratch would mean either easily 90% more cost than the LLM which is pre-built. So that's why I think at least what I've seen in industries is take an off-the-shelf LLM and people would do maybe customization on top of it to get to make it work like what I want, but not predominantly building an LLM is a very, very rare case, which people would do purely because it just requires so much of data, so much of effort and GPUs to just build it out from a scale because you don't even know what all it has learned already. And the models today are just getting bigger and better. So you need to employ a company like what they are building to get to a model of that stage. It's not that easy. And very, very cost intensive. I'm not sure if it's necessary for your use case. Better would be just to tweak the model and just get your results.
And if I may add, it also depends on the industry use case, right? For retail, commercial, it's very different versus when there is some level of IP involved in it. So it totally depends on, if you're building a financial product instrument, why would I buy off the shelf? Because I'm giving away a lot of my intellectual property there, right? So I think the question it's also depending on which industry group it comes from.
Let's, if you don't mind, we'll continue it off the shelf, off the stage, off the shelf, I repeat. But anyways, thank you so much for this lovely conversation. Thank you, ladies, and thank you for being a lovely audience.
On that note, we'd like to thank the panelists for that very insightful panel discussion. I'd like to request Shri Priya, Chief Architect, Capgemini, and Shrisha Ray Chowdhury from Thomson Reuters to present mementos to our panelists. We'd like to request the panelists to please move up front. Both Shri Priya and Shrisha are also jurors for this track and have helped put this track together. Please give them a big round of applause once again. Some insightful panel success stories of business transformation with GenAI from leading industry stalwarts there.